We're discussing big truck accidents with attorney Henry Queener. And Henry, how do you handle those tractor trailer cases differently than you would a car wreck case?
Well, in a car wreck case, that's usually just one car, two cars, two drivers, and it's all about what took place in the 30 seconds that led up to impact. Who ran the red light? Who ran the stop sign? In a big truck wreck case, there's a lot more issues with a big truck wreck case. For example, the driver. Who chose that driver? What were the driver's qualifications? What was the training the driver received? Well, the driver has a CDL. Is that enough for him to drive the vehicle he's driving? Well, maybe or maybe not. There's different classes of CDLs. Was it a twin trailer or was it a single trailer? Was it a tanker or was it not a tanker? So just because someone has a CDL doesn't mean you can put them behind the wheel of any tractor trailer. The question also becomes, how much sleep did that driver have in the 24 or 48 hours before that? There are federal regulations about how much sleep a driver has to have before he can drive again. Were those being met, or was that driver being forced to drive longer than he was supposed to? So it's not necessarily a bad truck driver that caused a truck wreck. It's bad people forcing good people to do bad things, like making schedules they can't make. There's federal regulation that says you can't try to force a good driver to make a run that just can't be done. But some try to do it, and then bad things happen. There's also questions about the mechanical function of the truck. When was the last time it was serviced? Was it being serviced properly? Was it capable of pulling what you were asking for it to pull? And then what was behind it? What was being pulled? Because the driver may not have had a prayer of stopping the vehicle if he's experiencing load shift. And that's where something in the trailer all of a sudden comes sliding forward. And even though that driver's doing what he's supposed to, applying those brakes, the truck is just shoved right out in the intersection by load shift. And then a whole new set of questions comes up. Did the driver load that trailer? Did someone else load that trailer? Was it a sealed load? If it was a sealed load, then the driver had no opportunity to even inspect his own load to know if load shift was going to happen. And he's as much a victim as your own client when he goes sliding out into the intersection.
There's so many variables here that you're looking at. So with all of that information and all of that digging that you're doing, who are these people that are unnamed that you're looking at that you might be holding accountable in this particular accident?
That's a great question, because there's a lot of different companies and there's a lot of different corporate shells and structures they all hide behind. There is the trucking company itself. There are other companies that place loads called load brokers. There's certain cases where the broker and the trucking company can be the same thing. The driver also can be an employee of a temporary agency. The truck itself oftentimes isn't even owned by the trucking company either. It's a rental truck. And so who are these other people? Well, that's part of the digging process. You never know who all the other people are going to be. That's why it's so much more than just that 30 seconds before impact. It's exactly the question, who are all the other people? Some company in Canada may have decided they want to ship something to Kentucky. Well, they didn't have anything to do with it other than they called that into a load broker, and the load broker then placed it with one trucking company. That trucking company couldn't get the job done, so they passed it along to another trucking company. Who are all these people? Well, it depends on each individual case. You got to start digging in and find out who these companies are.
But it sounds like the best thing to do, if you've been hurt in a big truck accident, the best thing to do is to find an attorney like yourself who has an understanding and a knowledge about how big something like this is and how to dig in and then be able to come out with a result.
Dig in and find out who are all the companies, what are all the insurance coverages, where did this truck, this driver, this load come from, and do so quickly, because they do have CIRT teams, critical incident response teams, that get out there and start gathering information themselves from trucking companies and trucking insurance companies, and you need to be on top of it as well.
All right, and you can certainly help people if they've been involved in a big truck accident.
Absolutely.